Thank you for tuning in. It's good to be back with you. I'm Sarah M. I am from Cambodia. I grew up in that beautiful country. But when my country went through a very challenging time when the communist Khmer Rouge took over, my life was turning upside down and I almost got killed. And God saved my life. I survived the 4 long years of miserable year. But I am here now. Looking back, I know God protected me. So I am so grateful to be alive, grateful to get out, grateful to be here with you all. And I have an opportunity to write my story in the book. Look at that book and how I survived the killing fields. It's my story, and it's available on my website. Now I take my message beyond book. I'm going out to speak, to share my message of hope and resilience. So reach out to me if you have a need. Go to my website, sarahm.com. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. So I am the other half. This show is started with two former refugee women. And we know that we have a lot of stories. And the reason that we have this show, so we can share our the deepest vulnerability with you and the deepest story that for a long time that we kept. I think Sarah has the bravery before I did. She has a book 5 years before I launched my book and tell my story on the TEDx stage. So now I am also a speaker and also want to bring my inspiration, and the hope message to inspire people to get out of their comfort zone and do the things that they didn't think that they can do or could do. And you can find my story at leatran.com. I also have a book. But today we invite Mary Jane Cronin come up here. She was one of the earlier guests that when we started our show last year in March, when we didn't know what we were doing. And I think we still don't know what we're doing, but we're having fun. And I would say that all we have to do is show up, and we show up. We show up almost every day last year, and we show up Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday to share our guest story with you. So Mary Jane is a grief consultant. She's also an author, and she has a 7th book coming up. So without stealing her thunder, I am going to ask Mary Jane to introduce herself and what she does, because it's been a year and I kind of forget it too. So she can refresh me what she does and her journey since last year. So welcome, Mary Jane.
Thank you so much, ladies. I am, as Lea said, I'm an author. I'm also a counselor and a speaker. When we became locked down, most of that stopped. So what I do whenever I'm stuck in a space is I write a book. And I've learned a lot of the people who were going through this last year or two were dealing with a lot of grief. So I wrote a book and I talked to one of the local funeral homes, and we are putting together a support group based on this new book. So I'm really excited about that because I think it will help a lot of people.
Can you tell us what the book's about and the title of the book?
Sure. The book is called Becoming Me After You. Now, what the premise is, when we lose someone we love, oftentimes people want to just focus on the day they died, focus on the terribleness, and they cannot heal. You mentioned loyalty. I thought that I was not being loyal to my son by trying to heal myself. Like I would be sending him a message to heaven that I wasn't missing him anymore. Well, what I came to realize was by honoring him, by doing things in my life now that he taught me or he was an example of, is giving him, it's paying his memory forward. And that's what I'm showing people how to do in the book.
It's beautiful. And I am sure the past year and a half, almost 2 years, since the pandemic started, there's so many tragic stories out there, unexpected death, things that, you know, even the person didn't die. Sometimes the sickness and alter the living style, and alter their lifestyle, alter the way they function. Some people couldn't recover from COVID, or would have things that, you know, incapable of them to do the things that they used to enjoy and do. So their lifestyle changed. So I am sure being a counselor, you probably have heard a lot of very horrible story. And how do you advise them how to cope with what has been going on?
Well, when you were talking about those different losses and things, that's one important thing. The secondary losses that we experience, the loss of having someone to help us, the loss of the life we once knew. Even people that are healthy are feeling that loss because our life is not the way it was. Yeah. So there is a way that you can actually use your mind to go through a journey of taking your negative memories and replacing them with positive memories and looking for positive things to do. That's what I help people do quite often. There's something called guided imagery. One of the worst things that people feel is out of control.
Right.
And we have no control over what's going on right now. Sure. You know, the people that have lost someone cannot have the rituals that we're used to, the funerals, the burials, all those things. They're trying to do them on Zoom, or they're trying to postpone them. Right. So this book is to help those people find a way to the other side of their loss.
Yeah, and many oftentimes, I know I might have derailed a little bit. Even sometimes it's not lost a person, but lost a job that you have been working for so many years, and then suddenly shut down, and you change your lifestyle, and that is a grief in itself. Because
yes,
definitely, yes, yeah.
And it happens so many times because suddenly companies are finding, well, if we just let them work from home, or we just leave half of them off, right, look at all the money we're saving. They're not thinking about those people that have been loyal to their company for years.
Right, right.
I agree.
Yeah, so on the topic, thank you for bringing up loyalty and honesty. We have kind of changed because Sarah and I have been talking when I set the theme, I didn't realize how hard it is to find those subjects to talk about, even though there's plenty of them. So we have changed it into passion and purpose for this month. So
okay, passion and purpose. Okay, so let me think about passion. My passion is to help other people. Yeah. To help them find what's going on in their lives and make their life a little bit calmer, a little bit better.
Right.
And that falls into the purpose as well. You know, when I agreed to do the support group, I wrote this book, and it involves 8 people who came to a support group, and it works through the process with them so that people could actually do that.
So tell us a little more on the support group. Is that a face-to-face, or is that Zoom, or is that on a Facebook group, or?
Right now, it's going to be a face-to-face. This is the first time we're trying it. Now that the book is out, everyone that comes will get a copy of the book, and then every week it's going to be for 6 weeks. And this one is being held through Veterans Funeral Home out there on Belcher Road in Clearwater. So this will be offered to the people who have gone through veterans for their services.
Mm.
Once we see the response, see how it works out, then starting next year, we can have it more often and open it to the public.
Okay.
So
So it would
maybe-
probably help. It would probably help if you have put the location and the program that people can sign under our video or in our Facebook group.
Okay.
Because so obviously this will be benefiting the people in the Tampa Bay area,
Mhm.
not so much elsewhere.
Sure.
So do you have anything that if some of our audience might be global, it might be different part of the country, how can people benefit from your support group if they want to tap into that energy?
I'm hoping that we will be able to do like a Zoom call.
Mm.
Mhm.
But the important thing to remember with a support group is you're dealing with a small group of people who have to develop trust to each other to be
Right.
able to share.
Right.
So I can't open it as everyone can
Right.
come and watch.
Mhm.
If people want to attend the group, they can contact me and let me know they're interested. And
Yeah.
then I can look at ways that if we're going to elaborate once the first trial takes place.
So, okay, so tell us a little bit more about the book. I know that it's dealing with grief, but is there a technique or things that you have teaching in the group that you can bring it out to the book that you can bring it out to the group?
Well, the first thing, of course, is getting to know each other and telling your story. That is so important when you're
Right.
dealing with a loss.
Right.
The next step is talking about your loved one. And then we talk about getting past the past.
Mm,
That doesn't mean we're discounting it.
right.
That's saying we have to look to how we can improve our lives while remembering them.
Right.
And the subtitle of the book is Blending Memories of the Past with Hopes for the Future. And so it's teaching them how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of writing and opportunities in the book. You know, tell me about some things you wish you had said to that person. You know, a letter
Oh
you
my
wish you had
God,
written.
That is
you know.
hard. That is hard.
It is hard. And one of the biggest things that I hear when I talk to people is they have regrets.
Yeah.
I wish I had done. I wish I
Right.
didn't say. So it's teaching them how to do that writing. And then in the book, the following session, my 8 people have the opportunity to talk about what they wish they had said. So it's nice because I created a diverse group. There's people that have lost parents, spouses, children, and there's even someone who lost a pet. So, you know, those losses for people that have pets, they're
Yeah.
sometimes like their children.
Right. Right.
You know, so there's a lot of exercises in the book that people can do to learn how to work through the process.
Wow. So what percentage of success that once they go through that process of gutting out everything they want to talk to the person that they could no longer talk to, how do they heal from there? I mean, once they talk it out, I'm sure it's lighten up the load a little bit, but is there a method of, you know, how they can start move forward once they talk it out? Well, sometimes people break down when they talk it out.
And they do. Here's an example. Okay, my son Jeremy loved to go to the beach when there were storms, like we've had here the last couple of days. He would come home with all of his treasures that he found, tell us all about the storms. So now, when it rains,
Mm,
I may get a little misty thinking
Yeah.
about that.
yeah.
But what I have done is I have shifted to now I will go to the beach. I will get my own little trinkets
Yeah.
and I will enjoy my experience
Right.
because he taught me how to do that. So that is
Mm.
one of the ways of taking a negative memory and
Right.
moving it over to a positive
And
experience.
create something of your own.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. It is really, really tough when you're dealing with grief. And sometimes if you don't get it out and deal with it. I know I didn't deal with the grief of losing my dad for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I wrote the book, it all came back. And it's really hard. But now it brings me joy, even though I could be crying talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Joy knowing that, that's a healing process, that whatever I say here is I'm saying to him.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And people do not know they have permission to, it's not get over, it's move forward. You are not ignoring the loss.
Yeah, you're not disrespect by not thinking of them.
Right. I remember I used to be upset because I cried. And then I would be upset because I didn't cry.
Yeah.
I'd say, Jeremy's sitting up there and saying, it's my birthday. What do you mean you're not crying?
How old was he when he passed?
16.
Oh.
But see, I learned he loves my accomplishments, what I've been doing, talking about becoming me after you. I became a counselor after losing him. He led me towards the counseling to get my master's, to be a licensed counselor, and to help others by saying, Mom, you have made it through my loss. You can help other people through theirs.
Yeah. And I absolutely love the title. I think it's just so appropriate.
It's funny that it just happened. Sometimes you'll get you get a focus group, you throw out all these different ideas of titles. This was the first one. This is just what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Sometimes you just know. I mean, from
you just know.
Right? You just know. You just
exactly.
Know. Tell us the last 6 books that, just briefly. And what are they about?
Well, the first book was called November Mourning, and that was written after I lost Jeremy. It was to help someone who had lost a child. I was working for hospice at the time, and hospice published the book for me.
Oh, wow.
So a way to thank them is I wrote a book called Writing Through Your Grief. That book has over 13,000 people visiting on Facebook. That shows the intent magnitude of people that are grieving. As a result of watching the people, the families and the survivors and the people who passed at hospice, I wrote 2 books. One's called A Care Connection. And then the other one is talking about helping you when you are caring for someone who's ill. And that's called Growing Through Illness Together. Now, I say this amusingly because enough years have passed, but a couple years ago, I fell and broke both of my arms.
Oh, wow.
Well, while I was sitting there recuperating, I wrote a book called
You wrote another book? How many times still you write a book?
It is. It was called Unexpected Changes.
Okay.
And it's like, there you are walking, thinking everything's fine, and something happens. What do you do? So I gave people advice what to happen. Now, it could be if you lost a house, you lost a job. It could be any number of things to help people.
Country.
Loss of country. Exactly. You never expected that.
Right.
And then I put together a book called Tied in Knots. And that is about dealing with stress. And the funny thing about that book is I interviewed 13 people and asked them what they did to release their stress. And then I had a character in the book. Her name was Susie. She went and tried all 13 different things. So it was talking about what worked, what didn't, what you can do as an alternative. I cannot go to the gym and work for 2 hours, but I can walk in my community. So that was kind of helping people with the stress. And then this one is my new one.
That is just so awesome. You are definitely more than qualified to be a grief counselor. And all of this happened after the loss of your son. So what were you doing before that?
I was working at two different places. I worked for Operation PAR, which is an organization here to help people off drugs.
Okay.
And they really needed a grief counselor because while they were in this program, they were grieving the loss of the life they knew. Not that it was a better life. It was just what they knew.
Right.
And before that, I worked 10 years on the Home Shopping Network.
Oh, wow.
You're watching when you can't go to sleep. You're watching. They want to sell you a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I answer the phones.
Oh, after you have stocked up everything you sell, you probably buy everything you sold.
Yes, that was true.
Yeah.
What an experience.
Yeah, so all of that changed once I had experienced the loss of Jeremy. I returned back to college and worked on getting my degrees. It was my purpose. It was what I was supposed to do.
And you also have that passion about helping other people too, because it could be your purpose and you didn't like it, and if you have no joy doing it, then your purpose wouldn't be successful.
No, when I wrote that very first book, November Mourning, I would sell it to someone and they would come back to me and they'd say, I want to let you know I gave the book to someone else I know who lost someone. And it just had that ripple effect.
Right.
You know, so you know you've done something right.
Yes. I think it's for the thrill feeling, knowing that, you know, whatever you do, there's a purpose out there. After this is a gain for something. Compared to the tremendous loss you have, at least there's something gain out of it for other people, for the mankind.
Exactly.
Wow. I really want to check out, you know, hopefully I never have to go through this. This is a horrible journey, but sometimes it just to understand it can help your friends, help your family, member of your family go through that. I didn't ask you before, but I don't want to put you on spot. I was just thinking, Sarah, back me up here. I'm just thinking, is there a way that you can give something promotional for people who want to buy your book when they listen to the show? You don't have to. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, I'm in the process of trying to have a 3-day 99-cent Kindle version of the book.
It's your chance to tell people.
Now, it's probably going to be a couple more weeks before Amazon will set that in place. But if you type in Becoming Me After You, or if you just type in Mary Jane Cronin on Amazon, you'll see when that promotion's happening.
I see.
So I'm not telling everybody. So that's one thing that your listeners can benefit from.
Right. And where did they get all the other previous books? November Mourning, that so much is telling me that what happened in that November Mourning. So
well, it's interesting because the title is MOUR, like mourning the loss of someone.
Okay.
Because November was Jeremy's birthday. And so the mourning of the fact that it was Thanksgiving and somebody was not at the table. That's where that started.
Yeah.
You can order most of my books on Amazon, but you can also go on to www.maryjanecronin.com. All the books are on there. There's a description of each one, and you can order them there. And if you order them there, I can autograph them when I send them out.
Yeah. Is that a bundle deal?
You know what? I did have a bundle deal with someone, because if you go on to my website, each one of them has a separate shipping. So they emailed me and they said, can we get a bundle deal?
Right.
Well, they bought all 6 books and I bundled all the shipping together. So they saved about $30.
Wow. Yeah.
So there are bundles available.
I think America taught me well. I think the insurance advertising taught me well. It's a bundle deal.
You know what? The fact
you are bold enough to ask
there are so many people that think it in the back of their minds, but don't ask it. So I applaud that.
Oh, yeah, I learned how to ask too, being a business person. Sometimes it's awkward to ask, but you don't ask, you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The answer will always be no if you don't ask.
That's right.
So beside the book launching, so the book is already out.
The book is out this week. The first batch of books are coming to my house this week.
Okay.
This one is the sample. It's a proof. You read it and make sure.
So I have those copies. Yeah.
Right. Now the new ones are coming. You can order it on Amazon and they will mail it out to you now.
Okay.
But the ones that are going to be at my house will be here in about a week.
Yeah.
But the other books I have on hand.
Right. That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience? Any last advice for how do you tie passion and purpose to mourning the grief?
Yeah, maybe have Mary Jane tell her a little bit about the way that she lost her son Jeremy, because it's very dramatic. That's why she's going through all this and she become who she is today. So you want to
if you like to, I mean.
Well, Jeremy was with his brothers at a friend's house. They were playing cards, and someone came to visit. They pulled up in a van, asked Jeremy to step outside, said they wanted to talk to him. The conversation got heated, and this other boy pulled out a gun and shot him. And two of my other sons were there. They were 18 and 14. And I always thought, the boy was arrested. He served his time. I always thought that if once that happened, I would be okay. And I never was. I held on to that. I became afraid to let the other boys out. And I sat and I wrote what I called letters to heaven. I would write to Jeremy and I would tell him what we were doing. And I would tell him about how life was without him. And it helped me heal. But people have no idea. Just like when they listen to your story or listen to Sarah's story, you have ideas of maybe what you've read in a book or you've seen in a movie. But once you talk to someone who has experienced something, it completely changes your perception.
Right. Living through the experience is something that you will never, ever the same with
no,
reading the book or through histories or hearsay. But this is devastating to lose a son, not by accident, not by illness, but because a heat of a moment, somebody just somebody's life. Wow. I don't even know where to go.
Well, you know what I'm going to
with that little boy, with the boy who shoot you.
I went to church and they talked to me about holding a piece of coal in your hand and how that coal is not hurting anybody else. It's hurting you. And I have tried very hard to forgive. Some days I do, some days I fall back again and I'm not able to. But I know that, I could find excuses, but it didn't help me heal. I had to say, give me the strength to heal. One of the things I talk about in the book is signs. We always talk about seeing butterflies or pennies.
Yeah.
One of the things that Jeremy and I have had now for 23 years is music. If I'm in the car and I was near the cemetery, one of his songs would come on. Well, the other day was his anniversary and I wasn't sure. And my son said, go to the park. We have a tree that we have in honor of him. When I was getting ready to pull into the park, a song came on the radio that was one of Jeremy's favorites. And it was just like him saying, "Hi, Mom. Thanks for remembering me."
Oh,
And that's what I want people to be able to do through the book. I sat under that tree. I talked to a little squirrel, and it made me smile. And I remembered the good times I had with him.
how old would he have been if he's still alive?
In November, he would be 40 years old. And I often think about that. Would he have had a family? What would his life have been like? What would my other children's lives have been
like? Sometimes we create such a painful thing if we think like that, I mean, but to you or to people who lost their loved one, that image kind of froze. It never grow old or grow, to a different stage. That image like stay there.
You mentioned your father. You know what I have? I have an image. When I was little, my father taught me how to count by teaching me how to play poker with pennies. So I picture my father and Jeremy sitting in heaven, playing cards.
Yeah.
Those are the nice memories that I have instead of those other ones that crumble me.
Right.
Yeah. Good that you can find some happy memory to remember.
It took time.
Memory. Yeah.
It does. It takes time.
Of memory between the two and margin and
yes.
Oh, wow. That's a really heart-wrenching story. And I am so grateful that you can actually gone beyond those moments and actually go and help other people to sorting out their own feeling, because I don't even want to go there. I can't imagine how to lose anybody that I love and how my life would, be able to move on. So there's some day that with COVID, nobody can understand that how you can have it the next moment you won't. I mean, and I always remember in the Bible and say that you just don't know when the bridegroom's gonna be here. It's just like that one of the verses that just always prepare. And I hate to say that you hate to prepare for those kind of moments. But when it's here, you're gonna have to deal with it and very, very courageously deal with it, because or else it's gonna eat you alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. But thank you for writing books after books after books and be such an expert in that area. And we wish you the best of luck with your group support group or group counseling, because that's definitely going to bring a lot of help to the people who can totally be lost and don't know how to get back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Mary Jane is very humble. She's a very good speaker. When she speaks, she has a soft, very caring voice. She's a wonderful speaker.
Yeah, I believe so. No, especially if you speak from the heart, you speak from your own experience, and you speak it because you're so passionate, because your purpose is to help other people. So
exactly.
For that, we thank you. Share this video to someone who is in the sea of loss, because they don't know how to get out of that grief period. Grieving is great, mourning is good, but we're going to have to know how to get out of it, because you do have a life that you need to live. So so reach out to Mary Jane if you need help, or if you need to find out more about her book, her support group. Please feel free to connect with her, and she will put all her information in the website, in our Facebook group. And we hope that her passion and her purpose of helping other people will lead to something that, get you out of your grief and your horrible experience. And we wish nobody have to go through that, but it's life. So thank you, Mary Jane. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me on the air.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Good night.
Bye-bye.